I've lived here my whole life. I have memories of like riding up and down this road on bikes, and you know where you put a little can in between the rear tyre to make it sound like a motorbike. Yeah, we'd drive up and down this road a bit doing that.
My name is Sebastián Job. I am a professional sim racer for Red Bull Racing Esports. So esports is basically just competitive gaming, you know, competing against the best people out there. With sim racing, it's basically esports but racing games. So there's iRacing, there's F1, there's Assetto Corsa, R Factor, Forza, GT Sport. There's quite a few different games. Yeah, you could just buy a wheel and pedals, go home and start driving. It's as simple as that.
Can you tell us about your dad getting you kind of involved in F1?
Yeah, so I think the way I got into F1 was just my dad watched it on TV. I don't remember exactly how, but I clearly must have enjoyed it because I remember like being quite emotional about some of the results.
I specifically remember 2007 Brazil, I think, where Hamilton just lost out on the title. I was very upset. Yeah, really upset about that.
I think that the second Christmas when he was 2, we bought him like a lorry filled with lots of tiny, tiny cars. And he loved that. We kept getting him more cars. And he would start to race them. But it was very, very methodical. It fascinated me. He would line them all up and then he'd move one forward and then another one. He didn't just try and push them all.
And I'd move them around racing against each other, in my mind commentating all over it. I have in my room, just about squeezes in, I have a 3-screen setup.
So the base aluminium profile is a SimLab P1 rig. I intentionally got the most sturdy thing I could because what we have here is a very, very powerful SimiCube 2 Ultimate motor, which, as far as I know, is probably the most powerful wheel you can get. So yeah, this has pretty much become standard now. I pretty much had to reinvest all of my winnings from last year that I got for coming third in the championship and put it into building this so that I can then try and get first in the championship this year. So the series I compete in is the Porsche Tagore Esports Super Cup. After 6 rounds, I'm currently leading the series. The winner gets $50,000 for the championship, but each round you get extra winnings as well. I think it's $1,000 for first, $400 for second, and $200 for third. I think I should win it. I'll be very disappointed if I don't, but it's gone well so far, so there's no reason it will change, I hope. This never used to be possible as a job really until the last 2 years, until the F1 teams came along. Red Bull, for example, they allowed it to become a full-time job, you know, where we can actually have salaries. And now it's started to become a proper esport because of it.
In esports, I think there's some pretty good money, definitely more than the average person would expect, I think. Sim racing is getting there very quickly. The prize money is just shooting up.
I was playing rugby quite a bit, and I know I wasn't built for rugby really, so I went go-karting with a friend, and one of the guys there said, "Oh, that's a really good lap time, you should come and join this karting academy and we'll try and improve you." From that point on, I just kept doing karting for a couple of years.
I won this little local championship, and the prize for that was an outdoor track day in a junior road tax car, and then a couple of years later when I was a bit bigger we got a senior road tax one. But driving those karts were just another level. The speed and grip and acceleration of an outdoor car is another level completely. I think as soon as I did that, I realized how fast cars and karts can be, how intense they can be, and it kind of opened my eyes quite a bit.
When he went karting, that was quite challenging because of the distance we had to go, and it was long, cold days and things like that. But it was great to actually see him progress.
I thought this is all I want to ever do in my life, but I knew that it would be incredibly expensive. I think you're talking thousands for like, and if not tens of thousands for a season. I believe when it gets to the top level European championships, you can be talking hundreds of thousands, which is just crazy money for karting.
And they wanted him to do outdoor karting, but we just couldn't afford it. And I explained that to Sebastian, and he took that really well. And that's when he really started to get into the sim driving. He'd been dabbling a little bit, but he really pushed that because he knew he could do it. Martin and I were very wary, shall we say, because I thought, you know, your schoolwork's important. Never ever thought that he could be racing and making a career out of it. We just thought it's a nice bit of fun, but you're spending a lot of time doing it.
I remember playing racing games a fair amount when I was younger. I remember on the, I think it was a PS2, playing like Taka Race Driver. And then on the PSP, I played F1 2006 quite a lot. Formula 1 06 is in there, so.
Now I only do racing games as a job. I don't just hop on for a bit of fun. As sad as it sounds, like if I drive, it's because I need to do a competition. I'm practicing or I'm racing.
I think you need to look back at when he was first starting this racing. He was using a computer that he built himself. He was sitting at an ordinary desk with a dining room chair. His pedals were screwed down to a board. The actual steering wheel he had was screwed onto the desk. And it was, you know, nobody should be able to drive like that.
I was racing on a desk before with kind of mid-level wheel and pedals, so I upgraded everything, and then I was like, there's no excuse if I don't win next year. I'd like to think it's potentially a way to get into motorsport in the future. I think it would make the level of drivers increase hugely, because instead of, let's say, 1% of people that can afford to get into karting, you now have, let's say, 80% of people that can afford to go into sim racing, and suddenly you have a much bigger talent pool there. And if you find that right person, then the drivers are going to get better, and there's no reason the next best F1 driver couldn't come from esports, I think, with the right training.